Hello everyone and welcome to a seasonal guide for foraging wild foods. Woods, hedgerows and seashores are great places to find wild foods and to connect into the landscape. Wild foods are by nature full of vitality and nutrition, and now that we're in the middle of the summer, there is an abundance of wild free food. So much is out there at the moment, and we're going to be talking about some of those things today. But we've got mallow out there, we've got loads of fat hen, we've got meadow sweet, we've got rose bay willow herb, we've got lots and lots of herbs like oregano growing wild, and mint, and so much more. So I hope you enjoy today's show. My name is Juliette Bryant and I'm a nutritional consultant, and we've got a really wonderful panel. But first, there's a few announcements. So we're calling all gardeners. Do you have pot plants, allotments, forest gardens, schools, or even a business garden? And are you growing your plants veganically? Then it's time to join our Veganic Map. Let's show the world that we can grow our food without animal manure, without fish, blood, or bones. Animal agriculture, synthetic fertilisers, and pesticides are the leading cause of ocean deaths, river pollution, and a loss of wildlife. How we grow our food is really key to solving the environmental crisis. So by joining the map, you can connect with like-minded gardeners in your area and around the world. So whether you have a forest garden, an allotment, or even just a pot plant, or you're a school or a business, we welcome you to join us. And even better, it's free. The benefits of joining the map are seed swapping, advice, skill exchange, meetups, produce swapping, resources, and allotment sharing. So to join the map, go to veganorganic.net/join-map. Other announcements for this evening. Tomorrow at 7 p.m, we have the Veganic Gardeners Question Time and an amazing panel of experts to answer all of your gardening questions. All the shows are recorded, so you can watch them on YouTube if you can't make it live. And please do remember to like and subscribe to our channel. Also, sign up to our free newsletter to keep updated on the amazing veganic growing revolution. And if you haven't got your copy already of the Vegan Organic Network magazine, Growing Green International, please do get that. It's full of stories, advice, and information. Okay, now it's time to introduce the panel. We've got a great panel, and I'm going to get them to introduce their names and also what they're up to. So, Jo, over to you. Can you tell us a little bit about what you're up to at the moment, what projects you're working on?
Hi everyone. Yeah, I'm a permaculture forest gardener, and I like taking people foraging, designing and making gardens. I work a lot with community groups, and this week I organised an event around growing mushrooms at a community garden in Canterbury.
Amazing, thank you, Jo. That sounds exciting, growing mushrooms.
Yeah, so
brilliant. And we look forward to hearing all about your plant in a little bit. Okay, over to you, Mark. Mark, please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you've been up to.
Great evening, everyone. So, yeah, I've been starting this summertime. There's lots of conscious gatherings going on right now. So I've been going to a few of those and sharing forage walks, consciously connecting with nature and foraging, and also tea ceremonies that I also offer. So this is just allowing sharing with people that everything is out there in nature for us all to connect to, and how we can create medicines, teas, practical ways. Everything is there. So it's been very full on, but very beautiful.
Amazing. Thank you, Mark. That's great. And John, over to you. Do you want to introduce yourself and tell us about your projects? I think John is just loading in, and you need to unmute yourself, John. John has a beautiful permaculture farm in Cornwall, and reception down in Cornwall isn't the best, so sometimes John does have a few connection issues. Oh, I think we've got you now, John. Do you want to unmute? Okay, so I think we've got a little bit of a connection issue with John, but I'm sure he can introduce himself shortly. I'll introduce myself while John's sorting out his connection. I'm Juliet. I'm a nutritional consultant and a superfood alchemist. And recently last week, we went on I ran a hedgerow medicine day. So we made some beautiful things. This here is a cough syrup that we made with apple cider vinegar. And as you can see, lots of incredible forage plants. It's a beautiful color because we used hollyhocks, one of my favorite things for cough medicine. So that was used then. So beautiful medicines that are all around us. We made some calming tinctures. We made so much great stuff. It's great to really be able to empower yourself with the medicine chest of nature. What's amazing is the time of year we're at now is known as Lammas. So Lammas is an ancient celebration. In the ancient traditions of this earth, they would honour the changing of the seasons. They would honour the different the turning of the tides, basically, with celebration. And so what we're coming up to right now is the celebration of Lammas, which is known as the first harvest. So it was the time that the wheat and the bread was made. It was the time that the first crop was really gathered. And this is a great time for us to honour that harvest. So what are you going to be harvesting in your life? I've already started my harvesting, but it's a good thing to think about. So we're going to turn to our panel. Let's just see if we can get John. Is John there? Can we get John to introduce himself? Is he there or have we lost him? No. Okay, so Joe, we're going to start with you and your amazing information. Over to you.
Okay. Well, I'm going to look at mallow. So mallow is my favourite foraging and forest garden plant. And you'll see why when I finish talking about it. And maybe we're going to make a bit of an effort to engage with the chat this time as well. So if you've got any questions or thoughts, please do pop them in there. So mallow is an amazing herb and vegetable, and it does other things too. It is just a fantastic plant and it's beautiful. There's the one we're going to look deeper in now is called Malva sylvestris, sort of the woods. It's a beautiful plant, and I hope you recognise it because it's literally everywhere. It's on the edges of paths, edges of woodlands. It's even on the beach. There's forms of it everywhere, and even in the gardens, we have versions of hollyhock, hibiscus, which are all related, and lavatera, which is my very favourite forest garden plant, because we can eat this plant almost every day of the year. The mallow, the lavatera, which is the garden shrub version, is evergreen, and we can eat it all through the winter as well. So we can eat the leaves through the winter and the flowers in the summer. We can also eat the roots too. It's an amazing thing. So how do we know what it is? So it's got 5 petals, and they're pinky, purpley, or sometimes white. They have a leaf, like it's usually has 5 lobes or 7, and it looks a bit like this. This is actually from the hollyhock outside my house, and this is the flower. Oops. So all the flowers have that sort of look about them, and the 5 petals. Yeah. So this. All right. So you can eat it. Just eat it like raw and as a treat. Oh yeah, and there's the cheeses too. So I thought I had some cheeses, but I think someone else who lives in this house has put them in the compost heap, so I couldn't find them. But they're basically the best bit. They're nutty, and they're like the seed, the fruiting bit. Before it goes ripe, it stays, and it's green, and it's one of the best things to show kids because they love them, and they're really nutty, and they're full of protein. So this vegetable or wild plant is a powerhouse vegetable. It's amazing. So I was looking up what's in it, and I knew that it was good, but It's got calcium and magnesium, high quantities, lots of protein. It's got iron, selenium, zinc, potassium, iodine. It's got the B complex. It's got vitamin A and C. Apparently we can, I haven't done this, but I'm going to try. We can make an egg substitute. It's very mucilicious. This is what gives it its very special healing qualities. This is the most amazing healing plant. I know that Juliet's going to say something about this, but I don't know any plant that does more than this. It's supposed to be anti-inflammatory. I even heard, doing a bit of research, that it helps bring cells back from the brink of dying. So if the cells, so all the tissues, all our cells, it can be like it's got regenerative quality. It stimulates the macrophage, which are white blood cells. God, there's so much to say about this plant, and I know I can't keep talking for much longer, but it's also related to cacao and lime tree, which is our native version of cacao. So it's just the most fantastic plant. I'm going to have to stop here. Okay.
Amazing, Jo.
So it's good for
Thank
fibre.
you
I know,
so
it's just to go on and on and on.
Mallow is absolutely incredible, isn't it? And what's so amazing is that you've also got the marshmallow as well, which is such a beautiful mallow in the same family. And that's one of my favorites for cough medicines and for stomach, for helping the digestive system. Both of them are really similar, the mallow and the marshmallow, but I've got them both growing in my garden.
And they're beautiful plants to have, aren't they?
They're so really beautiful. They're so beautiful. And the flowers, as you said, with the mallow, it's so common. It's everywhere. And it's such a delicious plant to eat. And yes, mallow tea is amazing as well.
Yeah.
Mark, do you want to share anything about the amazing mallow?
Yes, yeah, thanks for sharing, guys. One thing that came to me, actually, I've not done it, but I'd love to explore this, is the root you can make into like a toothbrush, apparently. I've not done that, but I love to explore this, what nature can do without going to a shop. So, because I know everything's in nature. So if anyone's done that, I'd love them to share that as well. Anyone's on the chat. And yeah, and it does have a affinity to have that kind of chest hair. It's quite mucously as well from memory as well. But it's the most beautiful flowers, and you know, to add them to a beautiful salad as well. You think of all the beautiful bright colours, and that will be a great addition to a salad, and especially this time of year because it's flourishing in the flowers right now.
Yeah. So could I just add about? You can also make soup from it, and you can eat the leaves and as well as the flowers in a salad. And mallow water is meant to be is really good too. You can put a cup full of mallow leaves in a jug of water, and it's supposed to be super good internally. So another way to drink to take it in.
One of the things that's so lovely about the mallow that you were talking about is it works on all the mucous membranes in the body. So because it's got this kind of demulsive property that you were talking about, it coats all of our mucous membranes. So our throat, our gut, and also our private areas, or wherever there's that mucous membrane, that's where it's going to work. So it works on irritation in the urinary tract, it works on soothing the digestive system, it works on kind of clearing that excess mucus from the throat and everything. And you can have mallow tea is incredible for cough. So just get the flowers, make a tea, and it really helps to clear that. Someone's just asked a question: can I find mallow in the city? Jo, do you want to answer?
Yes. You can find it everywhere. when you start looking, you'll see it. You'll literally probably be outside your door.
Yeah, it is literally everywhere. Once you find it, it was lovely on the weekend when we were running this hedgerow medicine, because I'd showed everyone it, and we went for a walk, and someone was like, "Oh, there's mallow! Oh, there's mallow! Oh, there!" And it was that one of those things that we must have seen 100 times on a walk in half an hour.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to bring it back, because we already talked about it in another episode, but because it's so everywhere and it's so easy to identify, I thought it would be a really good one to do again.
Definitely. Thank you. What were you going to say, Mark?
I was just going to say as well, it's one of those when you're going out walking, you see one and all of a sudden you've got your eye in, and it's just they all like the others appear, like I'm over here too, and it's so beautiful. And I'll just say about in the cities, obviously just be aware when you're harvesting, if you're near, by any roadsides and any areas. I personally see to go into any areas where it's just reducing the potential that there's any chemicals and toxins around. So if you are in a city and it's definitely mallow, just be aware of the area that you're going to potentially gather it in.
One of the things that you can do is, if you are in a city and you find it, is you can soak it in apple cider vinegar or grapefruit seed extract in water, warm water, to help clear away the toxins that are coming up from it. So that's a good way. If you can't avoid that and you still want to have the foraged foods, then you can clean it so that you can still access its medicine. We've had questions, someone saying they've not seen it yet either. I bet you, and we'd love to hear from you guys if you have found it. Now that you've seen a picture of it, look it up again online, check out the picture and go out, and I'm sure you'll find it. And please let us know in the video when you have found it. We've had another question that said, can you make it into tea? As we've all said, yes, you can definitely make it into tea. You can eat it raw, you can cook it, you can eat the leaves, the flowers, you can also use the root of it. So it's very, very versatile on how you can work with it. Anything else anyone wants to add before we move on?
Oh, I could add loads. Better just move on. Maybe we'll do it again.
Mallow might get regular every week, every month. We might bring Mallow back because of its amazing.
Special episode on Mallow, just Mallow.
Yeah, amazingness of Mallow. So go out and find it. And thanks, Joe, for bringing Mallow into our field. Okay, so Mark. Oh, someone's just, hang on before we move on. It's everywhere where I live. It's on the common. Yes, it is. It's everywhere, Jenny. Thanks for sharing. Thanks, guys, for commenting as well. Please keep your comments flowing. We love to hear from you as we're doing this. Okay, Mark, over to you.
Yeah, so today I'm going to share about a known plant, but it's not very common in this country, and it's milk thistle. I'm sure most of the viewers would have heard of milk thistle, but I think I do have a video and maybe some pictures that can be shown. That can be shown first before I go a bit more into more detail. So that's the very, very young leaf of it, and I say just observe the very distinctive white markings on that. It's very, very known for the milk thistle, and the leaves will get absolutely huge, and so then the leaves the leaves get bigger, and then it starts to form. It starts to grow very, very high, and obviously you can see the most beautiful flower, which I will go into a little bit more. And obviously coming out right now, because it's on the land that I'm currently on, the seeds are actually coming out as well. I think there may be, and so you go. You can see those very sort of tall bits, the spiky bits on there, where the seeds are inside that. So yeah, so basically milk thistle. So actually you can just see in there. So you can just see inside there that there's a few little seeds in there. And I will start off first with the leaves. So you can eat the leaves. So there's a thing of like all thistles, all very, very spiky. But actually you can eat the leaves raw. I've done that, and steamed. So just be aware, because it does get super, super spiky. But you can, because the leaves are so big, that's very, very easier to just cut out the spines at the very end. So I tend to normally again look for the younger leaves, but even the bigger ones I have eaten. And I know it'd be packed full of nutrition. I don't know exact details. I just know it's packed with so much abundance of minerals and nutrients. And so also, you can then eat the flowers as well. Well, you can eat the stem actually. I'll go into the stem. You can eat the stem of that as well. You normally just have to peel the outer fibrous bit off, and then you can eat it. And in my experience, even though I've not actually eaten the stem of celery, I've eaten a stem of another thistle and spear thistle, and it tastes like celery. So who's to say celery derives from a thistle? So again, eat that raw, as you would do a normal celery. and also the flower as well. So you just see the picture, that beautiful purpley flower, so beautiful color, and the bees love it, and so do I. And so it's what I find is pick the flower, just pick the petals off, eat that. You sometimes get a kind of little bit of a chewy bit. It's almost like a bit like chewing gum. So I find I eat the petal bits, but the other bit I can chew and just kind of chew like the chewing gum, and then just spit out when you feel to. And finally, the seeds. So, which is probably the most common thing people know about is the seeds. And so I personally normally with the seeds will just make into a powder. So I normally use like a pestle and mortar. I like kind of doing it that way, being more hands-on and having more of a connection with the seeds and with the plant. So obviously milk thistle is very, very known for the liver, helping regenerate the liver. You know, when it's got, even when people have a minuscule livers, a bit of liver left, it really does help regenerate. It's so powerful. I think there's more of that compound in there than other thistles that does this, but all thistles do have an affinity for the liver and also the digestion as well. So it really helps that digestion for that as well. And I would like to say as well is that because it's not that common in this country, I've seen it more when I've gone to like southern Spain or southern France in these kind of hotter climates. So when I go and I find them in this land that I'm currently on, I actually save the seeds. So if anyone feels to have that has land and clean land and has loves caring for the connection with nature, I'm always happy to share the seeds with people if they want to grow that, because it is such an amazing plant. It really is for just to be around and for what its benefits are. And I'm sure there's more benefits that maybe the other guys can share more into that as well.
Brilliant. Thank you, Mark, so much for sharing all of that wonderful wisdom about the beautiful plant of milk thistle. It is an incredible one, isn't it?
Mm.
And it spreads as well. So if you've got one little milk thistle plant, you will soon have a whole area of milk thistle.
Actually, I was just going to say, because where I am it just grows around the whole site, and it's spread around. It actually grows a lot in the veggie beds, and obviously it does get so big. So when I have to move one as such, I like to transplant them to another area just to let it flourish even more. But obviously that's an opportunity to eat the young leaves. And actually, I did forget, actually, you can obviously the root as well. So you could make the root into a tea and eat the root as well, like all thistles. And it'd be very, very alkalizing for the body.
Brilliant. Jo, do you want to share anything about the lovely milk thistle?
Yeah, I might not be appreciated for sharing this, but no, it's a herb that I found really incredible for PMT. I used to get pre-monster symptoms, which I now know is unresolved stuff from childhood, but it used to appear, and milk thistle just was amazing. I used to use a tincture. Now I know, well, I understand, I haven't tried it, is all thistles can provide this medicine for the liver, which it's a liver thing, we can stick it in a juicer or eat it. But yeah, it's a beautiful plant. I think it's got a bit more stature than most thistles. It's sort of it's just a beautiful spiky plant. Yeah, thanks for bringing it, Mark.
It's amazing on the hormone thing, because obviously the liver filters out excess hormones. So what can happen quite often is that if our liver is overworked, our hormonal system will get more symptoms. So that's why when we bring in the things to support the liver, it helps to reduce hormonal symptoms like that. So that's how it's working on that one. So that's a beautiful one. So thanks for sharing milk thistle with us. It's one that I used to grow. We created a healing giant, this massive man in this land, and throughout the man it was a man stroke woman. We planted plants that represented the area that it helped with. So we planted milk thistle for the liver. And it did spread, but it was incredible. You know, there's one, I think, in Kew Gardens, they've done a similar kind of thing, planting up the kind of earth in the shape of a person with all the different plants in the relevant areas. And it's amazing how much medicine is out there.
Yeah, everything's medicine, isn't it? Every plant has a medicine. It's just amazing. That's why we love plants so much, isn't it? They're just incredible.
Exactly. We had a question that came up and we have answered it in the chat, but I'll bring it up as well. It said, I'm in the city and I've spotted a lot of evening primrose. Which parts can I eat and how should I prepare it and can I preserve it? Now, the evening primrose, you can eat all of it, the root, the flower, and the leaves. The most medicinal part that most people know about is the root. And it's the young root that is the most beneficial. Evening primrose is very good for hormones again. So on that kind of hormone theme. So yeah, it's very soothing and calming, the root, but you can eat everything. And as Jo said, she loves the flowers. They've got a delicious flavour.
Oh dear, we seem to have lost Juliet. Yes, and it looks lovely in the garden. It's a really strange plant to grow because sometimes it appears and sometimes it's just not there, even though you know that it self-seeded the year before. So it's a bit mysterious. I think it's one of those plants that might come when we need it somehow, but it's very, very beautiful.
Yeah,
I might just start talking about. Go on, Mark,
I was just saying, well, with evening primrose, I've noticed as well. Again, it does seem to grow a lot in allotment areas, in my experience. So just be aware of that, because again, for those of you not sure, you might feel this growing there. And again, you didn't have to plant the seed; it did it all by itself. And this is what I love about the wild plants as well. So, and it's got a beautiful yellow flower as well.
Really beautiful. Hey, I just thought that John was going to share fat hen, which is a Chenopodium plant. So I just call that up. Maybe he'll share it next time, but it's very common plant that's got a lot of protein in, and it's related to quinoa. So it's good for our muscles. And yeah, oh, there's another picture. Oh, it's another picture of Mallow. Isn't that beautiful? I hope that you all feel like you want to go and try it after hearing how amazing it is. But we really need Juliet so that we can hear about her lovely plant. Here she is.
I'm back. Sorry, the joys of modern technology, but I am back. So I'm going to talk. I can't hear you. Now.
Can you hear?
You can't hear me?
Oh, yes, can you? Yeah, I can. Okay. Sorry, I can now. That was me. Sorry.
So I'm going to talk now about the amazing Meadow Sweet. So I've got some here for you all to look at. Now, this is one of the ones that at this time of year, you may be cycling along the roads and get that beautiful waft of fragrance. And that's potentially Meadow Sweet. It has such an amazing aroma. Now, I'm going to show you the leaves because they're such beautiful leaves as well. So the underside of the leaves have this silvery quality, but the opposite side, you can see what they look like here. Now you can eat the leaves, you can eat the root, and you can also eat the flowers. So all of the Meadow Sweet is edible. Now the leaves are best when they're young, but at this time of year, what we really want to focus on is the lovely flower. So when it's like this in its full bloom, all of that lovely white flower, this is what we really want to look at when we're looking at the medicine of the Meadow Sweet. And it has such remarkable medicine. So Meadow Sweet comes from the rose family. So it's part of the rose family, which is one of the biggest families. And it is found in abundance along the sides of the roads, in the hedgerows, by the side of fields. And the pollen from this beautiful flower has historically been used to make mead, to flavour mead, to give it that lovely sweetness to it. Now, the thing about Meadow Sweet that is so amazing, well, there's many things. It's an incredible antioxidant, so it helps to fight tissue damage. It's also very highly anti-inflammatory. But what is incredible is that this contains salicylic acid. So this is the active component in aspirin. So what it's good to do is to reduce pain and inflammation in your body. So this is one of the kind of main roles when it comes to Meadow Sweet, is its pain ability, its ability to help us with pain. And it's not so aspirin can be quite hard on people's stomachs. Obviously, it's synthetic. When you look at aspirin's roots, it comes from the white willow bark. Now, white willow bark is another amazing natural painkiller, but that again can be a little bit harsh. Meadow Sweet is much more gentle on the digestive system, so you're not going to have a lot of those problems that people have quite often. So with Meadow Sweet, how you can work with it is you can put it, first of all, I've put it in here in my cough mixture because of its anti-inflammatory benefits, and also because of its pain benefits when it goes into a cough medicine. So this is just apple cider vinegar. We put the hollyhock flowers in here, we put the Meadow Sweet, we put the mallow, all of these things which are so good for coughs into there. And the Meadow Sweet will just help take the pain away. We've put thyme and oregano in here as well. All things rosemary, very, very good to clear that. The other thing you can do with Meadow Sweet, which is one of my favorites, and I've got it brewing in the other room, is to make a glyceride. So a glyceride is using vegetable glycerine. I've used a coconut glycerine. That's personally my favorite one. And I've put poppy petals, so the red poppy petals, and I've put Meadow Sweet flowers into this glyceride, and I'm going to leave that for 6 weeks. And then what you have is almost like a Calpol without any of the gunk. So you've got a natural painkiller that's safe to give to children and safe for grown-ups to take without anything bad. It's just made from nature, which is really what we want to be looking at, don't we, in life? We want to be turning to nature as much as we can. One of the things about Meadow Sweet is it's very good for relieving severe joint pain. And especially there's been a lot of links to it helping with gout and the buildup of this uric acid in the joints. So they've done a lot of studies with it, with the Meadow Sweet, showing it's breaking up that uric acid in the blood. So this is a really important step because a lot of people are suffering a lot with this pain from gout. One of the combinations for gout that's recommended is Meadow Sweet, chamomile and willow bark, the combination of that to treat the inflammation, but also to treat the pain. So that's a little bit from me on the amazing Meadow Sweet. I'm going to show you another little picture of it so that you can go out and find it for yourself and then add it. And as I said, you can just eat it. So you can add it into food, you can make teas with it. It's very soothing and calming. So a nice evening tea of Meadow Sweet flowers will be soothing for the whole system and help you sleep and rest well. Does anyone have anything they want to add to Meadow Sweet?
I quite like the flavour.
I was going to say as well, because I think you did, as you mentioned, like obviously potentially for arthritis as well, that can help as well. So again, that becoming with the willow, like you alluded to as well. And there was just one thing I would say, like, because obviously right now the flowers are out, and they always grow in damp areas. So if you look at those damp areas, so if you're in like a nature reserve, for example, and it's a damp area, you will highly likely see it and abundance of it as well. And there's just one thing, when you're harvesting, there's one thing I observed, you get loads of tiny little black insects in the flowers. So I always just say, if you can, perhaps give them a shake, because it's not all about us humans as such. So just allow those to crawl away, or if you get home and you're drying them, just put them somewhere where they can crawl away and yeah, go where they need to go, you know, without putting them in, trying not to disturb them too much. And yeah, and it's a really beautiful tea as well. I love to dry those. So again, it maybe flower maybe for a couple of months in my experience. So depending on where you are. So make sure you get it in. Obviously, you can harvest on a really dry day as well. I know it might sound obvious, but just those little things to be aware of. But it is a really beautiful tea, and I'm sure that has been used for like really distinctive flavour as well.
It's so beautiful, isn't it? The flavour.
It is very. I think it's quite a. I can't think of anything maybe like that. But it's very distinctive. So, all you out there, guys, go and explore it when you definitely know it is Meadow Sweet, and explore it yourself and have fun with doing that as well.
The good thing about it is it's because of its leaves, they are quite unique, the leaves. So it's quite, once you've seen it, it's quite easy to distinguish these beautiful leaves. And obviously, once it's flowering, then the smell of it gives it away as well. Jo, did you have anything you wanted to add before we answer Danny's question about Meadow Sweet?
I loved what you said. I just loved that pain relief for children. Wow, what an amazing thing that is. I think that's just amazing.
And when you put the poppy petals in there, it goes pink. So it actually looks like cowpole. So you've got this pink sweet, and the glycerides are sweet. So you've got an amazing natural, and I've been using it for years with my children, Meadow Sweet and poppy glyceride. I've just made a new batch and put some chamomile, because I've grown a lot of chamomile this year. So we've got lots of chamomile in there as well for that soothing, calming nature.
Lovely.
So we've had a question.
The video from John.
Oh, yeah, we'll get to that. Well, let's answer this question, then we're going to do John's video on fat hen. But someone said, what's good for a runny tummy, which is a great question. So there's so many things that are good for a runny tummy. Jo's mallow is good for that, because that's very soothing for the gut, for the digestive system. Marshmallow is really soothing as well, because that's a little bit more demulsive than the mallow, but they're both good. Any other things? You've said mint, haven't you, Jo, in the chat?
I think mint's excellent, isn't it? It's like to do with digestion and soothing.
Yeah. Fennel is another great one for upset stomachs. Fennel seeds or fennel leaves even, and fennel grows wild quite a lot. You can find fennel around, and fennel's brilliant. On a non-foraging thing, cinnamon and nutmeg are very, very good for runny tummies. In India, they use nutmeg, 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg mixed with warm water to get rid of runny tummies. Anyone else have any? Mark, do you have any runny tummy tips?
Runny tummy. I've just nothing coming to me at the moment. So what's there? Because obviously you've got to say, I always think if you've got that runny tummy, and you're gonna potentially having that diarrhea. So anything that could be like astringency as well, that have something in that, which with many things. I mean, always top of my head, I know oak, for example, is very astringent. But also, it's that something having, like you've alluded to, it's having something that's very soothing and gentle on that whole digestive tract area. But if something comes to me that pops up, I will share.
The other thing, it's not really a forage thing per se, but charcoal. And charcoal is very good for dogs. And obviously, charcoal does come from nature, but charcoal's always my go-to for upset stomachs, because it will take the toxins out, and it's safe for dogs to have as well. So and dogs quite often go for charcoal. They'll go for burnt bits of wood, because they know that they need that if they've got an upset stomach. In nature, if someone's eaten the wrong thing, animals always go for that kind of burnt wood, because they know it will clear out their system. We've got a little video from John, who unfortunately had technical issues, but we do have a video from him about fat hens. So Maestro in the background, can you play the lovely video on fat?
Checking in from Cornwall, UK. Today I am going to be talking about fat hen, and that leaf to the left is a typical shape of the fat hen leaf. You can see my hand next to it for an example of the size, and it grows on these long stalks like this. Eventually forms seeds like that, and those little seeds are a bit like quinoa. So they're our local version of quinoa. Harvest it a bit like this, break off the nice succulent juicy bits, getting rid of anything that looks old, and that's a nice bowl full that we've harvested and prepared, ready for dinner.
Oh, that looks yum, all that beautiful fat hen. And fat hen seeds are a great source of protein and fat. Very, very nutritious. And they pop up everywhere. Anyone have anything they want to share about the lovely fat hen?
Well, I was gonna
we
say
grow
as
in the
well
garden.
again.
Isn't it? Oh, go on.
So I was just going to say again, it's quite a bit of a recurring theme for me actually. Like I do find it grows again a lot in allotments. So anyone's growing the veggie, any vegetables, I do find that fat hen grows in there. And so again, for those who have an allotments and you see that growing, if you know you can identify fat hen, because the leaves can sort of change their shape as they grow older, is to you know, incorporate that into leaving it in your veggie bed when it's young. It will get a bit bigger, of course, but you know, pick the young leaves, the fresh, young, vibrant leaves. Always check a bit underneath, because I do sometimes find there's sometimes a little bit of insects underneath it. And again, eat those fresh, young, vibrant leaves. So I find not to eat too many when they're raw. I prefer to just very, very gently steam it. In fact, just add them at the end of you cooked a meal. Just put them literally at the end, just so they're wilted pretty much. I enjoy them. And again, the seeds, the abundance of seeds, and actually to explore more of the seeds. And as you said, the like the quinoa. So this is the thing, you know, say you need to go to a shop and buy this quinoa when it's under your nose again, you know, to explore these seeds, because everything is here that we need. It's great to have these from other countries. It's really beautiful, but no, everything is here as well. So how about we all start to explore that?
Beautiful. Thank you, Mark. Joe, you wanted to add something about fat hen.
Only that there's varieties that we grow in the garden, like I think it's called Auric, and there's a purple variety, and there's some huge thing. I can't remember what its name. Is it tree spinach?
So tree spinach has the purpley edge to it, and it's the purpley edge around it, and it looks very similar to fat hen, but it's the purple edge, and it grows into a massive bush.
I think the interesting thing about growing vegetables rather than wild plants is that often you can harvest more quicker in the moment. But of course, the wild plants don't need any inputs; they just grow. And we've covered some amazing plants tonight, but definitely a superfood for everybody, and it's delicious. Oh, I learned that the white speckles on the leaves are mineral salts that have been brought up from the soil. So that's an interesting thing. Often have white on, but a really nice plant to bring tonight. Sorry you didn't make it in the room with us, John, but great.
At least
that
you did a great video, really, and it talked about it so nicely. With the thing with fat hen as well is Mark, you mentioned you don't like to eat too many of the raw leaves. We shouldn't eat too many because they are quite high in oxalic acid. So it is best with it. When they're young, eating some of them raw is great. But as it gets older, making sure that you do lightly steam it. It doesn't need to be cooked for long, but just lightly steaming it. The seeds obviously can be eaten raw and put in salads, but lightly steaming is the best way for it. We've had a question that's come up. Can I eat all poppy seeds? No is the answer. All poppy seeds, some are not edible at all. The leaves, the petals of the poppy, of all of the poppies are edible. You can have the leaves, but the seeds themselves, some aren't. So it's so mainly it's the opium poppy, which is it's usually got kind of light purpley leaves. And it's quite a big flower. Those seeds are edible, but the other ones aren't. Does anyone want to add anything to that?
Well, it's something I met these guys on a foraging walk, and they were actually saying that I think like the opium one, it actually can grow in this country, but it doesn't come into that stage of the opium stage because it's not hot enough. Which I didn't know that. I just found that interesting that it is here, but it doesn't come into that form because it just doesn't get hot enough here. Maybe one day.
We get quite a lot of the opium poppies in this country, but yeah, as you said, it's not hot enough to reach that stage, so you don't need to worry about that if you're eating them. But all of the poppies have that relaxant, calming effect. It's like the red poppies. That's what I use for the glycerides. It's the red poppy petals because they have that calming, soothing quality to the being, which is so beautiful. So before we finish, just quickly, what are you guys' favourite plants that you're looking forward to working with more over the next few weeks? So whilst you're thinking, I'll say mine. I really love hollyhocks. Hollyhock flowers are one of my favorite things because they're so good for coughs, and I love storing them up. Beautiful teas to make, and the colors are so incredible from the hollyhocks that when you start working with them. So the hollyhocks are definitely one of my favorites for the next few weeks. What about, who's next? Who wants to share their favorite coming up?
Oh, I just love all the flowers at the moment that go into salads. The calendula, the hollyhocks, the lavatera, the mallows, the evening primrose, the borage, the passion flowers. There's just so many flowers around right now. So I'm looking forward to the apples, actually. I've got a tree in one of my gardens that I look after that's nearly ready.
Nice.
Yeah.
On the flower front, you're right, violas are one of my favorites. I've been using them loads. They've been popping up in my patio all over, and they're hugely anti-inflammatory and also really antiviral and incredible for hormone balancing.
I was going to say is, for me, I kind of just like to just, wherever I am in the country, is just to go out and explore whatever's just there and whatever I feel pulled to. So there's nothing that actually stands out for me right now, and there's so much abundance out still, this time of year. It's just so beautiful just being immersed in that. So and also I invite people to just go out and really enjoy nature's abundance.
Amazing. Beautiful. Is there anything you guys want to share that you've got coming up in the next month or two that you want to share so that people know what you're doing if they want to join in any of your work?
Well, there's a lovely event coming up near me called Wild About Whitstable, where we're really celebrating wildlife, including us. And I'm running some forest gardening sessions, well, one session about how to make our garden edible and wildlife friendly. And we're going to include a little forage. So do come if you can. There's lots of really nice things happening.
How do people find out about that, Jo?
If you look up Wild About Whitstable, or go on any of my Facebook pages, Kent Permaculture, you'll come across it. Yeah, thank you.
Brilliant.
Thanks.
Thank you. Mark, what about you? What have you got coming up that people could join you with?
I'm actually going to a gathering called All About Love from the 2nd to the 8th of August near Huntington in Cambridgeshire. And as a few, we have a teepee space in the quiet area there. So I'll be sharing nature connection and forage walk and a tea ceremony there. And in this beautiful space, we'll also have sound journeys, cacao ceremonies, storytelling, dowsing workshops. So we have a many variety of sharings there. So you all welcome who's going to this gathering to come along into this beautiful space. And I'll be sharing some of the teas that I personally source from Asia that I'll share in the space as well for you to come and enjoy that as well.
Brilliant. That sounds lovely, Mark. Thank you. And I will be at the Shine seminars in the Forest of Dean, and I will be running a workshop on sacred earth, sacred union, and how we can come into union with ourselves through the earth and through our connection to plants. And in September, on the 23rd, I'm running another hedgerow medicine day in sunny Suffolk, where we're going to be making loads of amazing medicines that you can then use to store over the winter to support you and your family. You can find out more about those events on julietbryant.com. Someone just said blackberry leaf tea is ideal for runny tummies. Brilliant. Yeah, and raspberry leaf. The blackberry leaf and the raspberry leaf are amazing. So thank you for sharing that, Dawn. Yeah. So many amazing plants out there. Hard to remember all of the incredible ones. So it's always good when people can share their incredible wisdom as well. So thank you guys all for joining us. Thank you for watching, and thank you for your lovely comments and participation. It's really beautiful to engage with you all. Thank you, Jo, for your amazing wisdom as always. Thank you, Mark, for your incredible wisdom. And thank you, John, for your beautiful video. Sorry you weren't here in person. We hope you can make it next time. Don't forget, tomorrow, gardener's question time, right here at 7 o'clock, and we look forward to seeing you all very soon. Lots of love from us all.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
See you next time.